Testing. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. We are streaming. All right. I am live. Hi, I'm Keith. And this is actually my second time going live today. I went for a full 90 minutes before I discovered that OBS had somehow done something with my microphone and I had no sound. So rather than be brokenhearted, I waited till tonight to try it. And it's about 9:45 p.m. in Cambodia. So everyone's waking up there to Monday morning there in the United States. All right, good morning. How's everyone? Um, I wasn't going to get on, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hold true to the idea that this is a living course, meaning as I'm going through and discovering things you're going through, and I get to experience the pain so you don't have to. And as I go, if you are watching the channel or you started watching it back when I started Simple Agentics, which was then Third Life Mentorship back in January, it's been a growing thing. And if you look at the YouTube, you can see the progression and hopefully things are getting better. And as I learn, I want to teach you. And as I work, I'm going to natter on about the idea behind simple agentics and what I ended up doing and how it's continuing to grow. Okay. It's interesting doing a live to an empty room, but I know that's only a matter of time. So I guess I'm talking to my future self and my future community members who are going to go through this to learn how to use basic tools. This is Flux Gym. Now, if you are using platforms, which is a really, really expensive way to go if you're going to do AI content generation, you're going to find the fees stack up so fast, particularly if you're trying to get consistency in the projects or the work that you're doing. And you hear a lot of people talking about consistent characters. And the problem is there's consistency and there's consistency. If you have looked at my videos or you see them going forward, you'll see that there's actual 3 different versions of the character Marcus. There is Marcus that you see in the videos that are about rebirth, helping you clear your mind of emotional pain so you can get ready to reskill. When it comes to the reskilling with AI, the comic book that I'm putting out has another Marcus, consistent character. He's Dr. Marcus Reed. And then there will be a third Marcus who will pop up later on in the year. But I have to have the same characters across whatever my social media is, across the various videos, talking heads, and things that I do. And the only way I can do that is I have to make sure that AI has a recipe for Marcus and the other characters that I use in various things that are coming up, or things aren't going to look right. And as you know, every time you run a generation of something in AI, it comes out different. Now you can freeze the seed and I'll show you that later, but still the way that we make patterns that are consistent is by using LoRa's. It's LoRa's. I forget what it stands for. And I'll be putting out a video on that later, but LoRa's are pretty much a recipe. They're a cookbook for a particular look. And we'll be getting back to her. I'm about to create a LoRa of her for the heroine in my upcoming Simple Agentics comic book series. It'll be online. So let me show you a real fast way to figure out LoRa's. Is you want to go over to Civitai. And if you go to Civitai and you go to their model section in Civitai, and this is, if you're going to do any kind of generative AI, you hang out on Civitai, just waiting to see what the latest trends are, waiting to see what just came out before you spend your hard-earned credits someplace, or before you fire up your 16 gigabyte or 24 gigabyte card and you want to test it out first. You can go do at Hugging Face, you can test it out. But here at Civitai, you can get ideas. And they have LoRa's, which are basically the formulas that I talked about. This is a new one that I've been using as of yesterday. It's called Fluxmania 5. And what this does is it makes really, really crisp and beautiful pictures. Here's some examples. Okay. So it takes your ordinary idea and it gives it some spice, depending on what kind of spice you like. Like this LoRa, you can tell obviously was trained on Scarlett Johansson. There are so many female AI pictures out there, but they're only based on maybe like 10 or 15 different people. It's really weird. And Scarlett Johansson is one of them. And I've started to see across Midjourney and other generations, you're starting to see models trained on older models from the 70s and 80s. Like Barbie Benton has shown up, other people. I'm sure Molly Ringwald will show up, which tells me, Generation X, you guys are getting into AI, because there's no way of millennials, putting up a Barbie Benton in AI. That's got to be you guys. All right. Anyway, getting back to the subject. Here's a list of all the available models, and they're constantly being updated. And waifu, stay away from that. You got to know what that is. So if you see a particular style, like here's a popular one of guys spinning in a chair, this is what you will use in ComfyUI to create this kind of, movement. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about, well, we'll get into ComfyUI later. There's so many reasons why ComfyUI can be your instrument of reskilling and why it can make you so much money. And there's so many different ways to use it that I haven't talked about. And you can do like I'm doing, which is forming the community, or you can use it for services, or you can use it for education if you're a teacher. I still teach a lot of kids in China, and it's amazing. I will pull up my ComfyUI or I will pull up one of my platforms and I will say, okay, one thing you need to do with speech is you need to be able to, or in English, you need to be able to describe something. So let's see how good your descriptions are. You need to, and I'll show them a picture, give a prompt in English that is good enough to reproduce this picture. And we have a lot of fun with it. And what I get out of it is I teach them that without adjectives, your prompts are going to suck. And I'd say that to anybody. If prompts are not designed to use like a button. And that's why the platforms are making so much money, is because you don't really have to think. You can put in, make little pretty, and it'll give you something nice because they're using their own prompting. That's not unique. And that's why everyone's stuff starts to look the same. Think about it, and it's the way I teach communication is the same way I teach AI. If you think about it, what you are attempting to do is to take whatever notion a person has in their head, and you're going to rip it down just like you would denoise and do the stuff in AI until you get blank. And then you're going to build it back up in the image you need in their mind. That's persuasion. So AI is basically communication. So the better you communicate to the robot, the better results you're going to get. So people who are very, very good and have a high vocabulary, particularly when it comes to adverbs and adjectives, oh, you're going to rock with prompts and you're going to have better stuff. So anyway, moving on, LoRa's. So LoRa's allow you to generate a consistent character. Now, it doesn't completely take it over. It's not a duplicate, But what it does is it adds elements, and you can control how much of that particular LoRa formula with any other LoRa formulas, or just the LoRa formula and the subject you're using to change it according to that formula. So if my mother makes the greatest apple pie and your mother makes the greatest peach pie, bring your formula, I'll bring my formula, and we'll experiment and go back and forth and see what balance creates the best fruit pie. So Civitai is a giant recipe place, free. Learn how to download, learn how to use them. It's really easy to use in ComfyUI, particularly if you're using the stack I use. Now, ComfyUI, I'm still learning, but even though I'm still learning, I'm able to use it to produce stuff going forward. And you can tell me, I'm not going to say it's phenomenal, but I'm doing okay. You can look at and tell me what you think. Look at my shorts. That's where I'm pouring it on. But I will tell you this, over at ComfyUI Studios, that's the YouTube channel, ComfyUI Studios. He is awesome. I mean, I would immediately get on his Discord. I would immediately, we're not supposed to do shout outs. It hurts the algorithm, but I got to shout out to this guy because he has helped me so far. I was looking at Comfy. He introduced it. I've been getting his workflows. A lot of people are doing workflows now, but his chef's kiss, I couldn't do 10% of what I do without this guy's help. So head over to ComfyUI Studios. Tell him Keith sent you. All right. So let's go to Comfy. This, ladies and gentlemen, if you've never seen it, is ComfyUI. I love it. Why do I love it? Because ComfyUI isn't just a program. It's not like Microsoft Word. It's more like the Microsoft Office or the AI Adobe Suite, if you want to call it that. Everything has its separate little workflows. You can intermix, and depending on what it is you're trying to do, it's amazing. You can create images. You can create videos. You can add stuff to your images and videos. You can take it out. You can change clothes. You can change faces. You can change bodies. You can you can squish, turn, anything you can think of that you can do and that you've seen all across the AI sphere, the AI space, you can do in ComfyUI. Why isn't everybody doing ComfyUI? Well, as you can see, it's complicated. There's only a few things you need to know. And if you're part of the community, or at least if you're turning into this channel, you're going to learn how to do it pretty quickly. I'm not an expert. If you really wanted to get into the nuts and bolts of ComfyUI, you would have to fight the snake, Python. And I'm not there yet, but I will say, even with the little knowledge that I do have and the billions of YouTube videos that are out there, and with the help of the guy over at ComfyUI Studios, it's been wonderful. And it feels good to be learning again. And it's my word. I don't have, one thing you can do for money is once you learn this skill, you can very quickly outperform other people who are going to platforms. But to do that, it's going to require homebrew. I do a combination of homebrew, which means I have my home lab set up. And also I use online, especially LLMs at this point, I use Cloudbase. I like Comfy for several reasons. One is the creative potential is endless. Two, it's free if you don't count, the GPU and the cost and all that. But because I have Comfy here, it works on my time the way I want. There's no editing. I can change anything I want, any parameters. So it's ultimately customizable, meaning that anything I can do can be ultimately unique. And that's where the LoRa comes in. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing with LoRa's presently, and you'll see it in the videos if you check them out on my channel. But I'm going to show you how I set this up using LoRa's. Okay, I am in my stack, and what we're going to work with is, I've already done the research phase. I already know who I'm aimed at, all of that. Got lost in the video with no sound, but we'll do that later this week. And I will give you my #1 secret for developing a customer, consumer, whatever avatar. Nothing beats it. I don't care. You could pay tens of thousands of dollars to a research firm to research your people, and it wouldn't be this good. And it's free. Okay. Let's begin. This is ComfyUI. I will go back later and talk about how to get into it, how to load into it. But really quickly, those of you that know, you know, those of you don't, this is a quick introduction. You get to look over my shoulder. I'm working on the video for this either late this week or next week. We'll be starting Simple Agentics, the comic book. So I'm going to be running one of the characters tonight in Flux Gym. So that's where we'll end the live session. But right now, I am in my ComfyUI studio and I'm in my Flex dev workflow. I like that Flux, excuse me. I love Flux. I mean, I've looked at all of them, Hunyan, all the ones coming out of China, and there's just something about Flux. It's just an all around favorite, especially Flux dev. And I tried Flux dev batch process and it's just not, it's not hands-on enough. I'm trying to at least starting out, and it's going to change probably as I get more streamlined. My workflows become agentic, meaning that automated, meaning they become automated. But right now, as I'm learning to do this step by step, I'm having a lot of fun, and you should too. So here I am. We're going to say Marcus reading a Simple Agentics comic book. So your first question is going to be, well, who is Marcus? Well, as I mentioned, Marcus is 3 people right now. And I said 3, there's actually going to be a 4th one coming, but here is Marcus. Marcus is, first of all, Marcus. And let me make this shorter for you. Yes, that can't. Okay, hold on, let me fix this. This is Marcus. That's done with a LoRa done on me. This is Marcus. That's a LoRa done on an image created with a LoRa done on me. This, if you've seen any of my, the first stage of Simple Agentics is clearing your head of emotional pain, because if you're all freaked out with anxiety and fear and anger, there's no way you're going to be able to focus enough to learn, and you're certainly not going to be able to focus the way this requires. But you can channel that pain through your AI content creation. It's part of the therapy. You heard of art therapy. Well, this is part of it. You know, it was funny. I remember Pink being interviewed, and it was funny. She said this about herself. She said, yeah, I got married, got happy, had a kid, and all my music sucked. She said, my music was only good when I was in pain. So, you know, I read a lot of Warhammer 40,000, a lot of it. And a lot of the Space Marines run around the universe, you know, driven by anger. They know how to turn that anger and pain into productivity. Fortunately, it's killing the universe. In this case, you're killing the AI space to make money. So that works, whatever drives you. Okay, talk more about that later. But here, surprisingly, is another Marcus. As I mentioned, this is the Marcus that I use when I am talking about stage 1, which is rebirth, getting rid of the emotional pain. Again, a LoRa, it's actually a cross between 2 LoRas and a photo. Okay, why do I need 3 or 4 different versions in me? That's going to become very, very apparent later. But right now, you know, when you see this Marcus, this is the Marcus that is actually the avatar for all of us. He is all of us. And I'll explain what that means later. This is Marcus the hero. He will be the comic book star. And this is me. This is the, I guess you could say, thinnest bridge between reality and the AI space. That's me. And so whenever you see him, it's a demonstration between how, you know, he's the in between Batman and Bruce Wayne, I guess you could say. All right. Enough about that. Let's go back to ComfyUI. Oh, what is this? This is Lemon Slice. If you don't have Lemon Slice, if you are doing any kind of talking heads or avatars, you got to get over to Lemon Slice. Go down below, click the link. I put the link in there. I think I earned some kind of fee, but I'm not sending you over there for money. I'm sending you over because if you're going to make talking head videos and you want to do it quick and easy, this right here, this is what you want. Lemon Slice. It changed the game for me. Okay, let's head back over to ComfyUI. In case you're wondering, I am on an AI server running an RTX 3090 because, well, nobody can find a 4090 and the 5090s don't work okay with ComfyUI when they aren't catching flames or exploding, or you can find one. So in case you haven't heard, AI is all about VRAM, and VRAM is only found in two places: on graphics cards and in, I guess you would say the best way to explain it is chips. In small computers now, especially in AMD, they have chips that are a combination of memory. You can devote the memory to regular memory, and you can devote some of it to VRAM. Uh, NVIDIA has digits that's going to do that. Dell's got a cheaper version, and HP's got a cheaper version. It's going to run you about $1,500 on the cheapest version for that computer, but you will be able to run a slow version of ChatGPT on your desktop. It's not right there yet. I wouldn't buy a graphics card right now. I had to fly back to Kansas City to buy a 3090, and you can see that in my videos, and I'm so glad I did because it allows me to run Comfy. There's a different way to run Comfy if you don't have a graphics card at all. You can run ComfyUI through Mimic, links below. You could run Mimic PC here, which allows you to run the same Comfy I'm running on my desktop. You could run on their desktop with a much more powerful GPU. So everything runs much faster. To give you an answer, what that means much faster is very simple. If I'm running a 24 gigabyte RTX 3090 graphics card, and I am using, let's say, for example, Huanyan Video, and I'm running at a decent size, we'll say 720, or is it 512? I can't remember. It's going to take me an hour and a half to do 5 seconds. An hour and a half of straight, superheated GPU processing to get 5 seconds. I think it's more efficient to do what I'm doing, which is a hybrid setup, which is once you learn how to use ComfyUI, you run over to Mimic and set up an online version or cloud version of ComfyUI, run one of their 48 gigabyte graphics, get the time done, get it all done in a fraction. And it's not that expensive. It's like 99 cents an hour for a 48 gigabyte. So, however, when it comes to doing any kind of image stuff, well, you need to get your homebrew going. And, one of my goals in monetizing the channel and getting things together is that one day I will be able to buy a big, huge, 48 gig, 6,000 ADA or whatever they come up with by then. And then I'll show you guys some real fun with ComfyUI. All right, I'm in the character maker. And this is the second thing I use after I have generated a, yeah, after I have generated an image that I want to use, I take it over to the character maker. And I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. But I'm going to walk you through my process of using a LoRa or a combination of LoRas. First of all, here in from ComfyUI Studios, the workflow that I'm using allows you to use 3 images as input. So if you want 3 different attributes like you want this woman with this outfit, with this hair, you can do that. And down here, you can go through each image and vary how much power you want or how much of that formula you want added into the witch's brew, which is your creation. You also have a prompt here, and it's a text prompt. And I like to get my prompts from ChatGPT, but I like to keep them pretty simple, a very basic 1 to 2 sentence idea, because then this particular workflow runs it through a different prompt generator that makes the prompt all nice and pretty and even better than my vocabulary. So I get better results. By the way, a word on image generation. If you are using a platform, meaning cloud-based, or you are using ComfyUI, any model you're using from China, prompt in Chinese. So take your prompts, run them through DeepSeek, translate them to Chinese, and then run them. Remember, the models were trained on Chinese, and it's been shown across the board that by prompting in Chinese, you get better results because it understands it. Okay. Love you. Good night. My girlfriend's going to bed. It's like 10:07 here. She goes to bed early. Because we get up with the chickens. Okay. So I just put in a simple Marcus reading a simple Agentics comic book. But who is Marcus? That's when we come down here. Before I run it, I want to come down here and talk about this later. You don't need. Here's where the prompt is. I can turn it on or off if I wanted to help me with if I wanted to take my prompt and make it better, I turn it on. I have it on now. Here is a Power LoRa loader. Remember I talked about how you can combine different formulas? Here's where you do that. I have the formula for me, which I made from 30 photos of me that I put through Flux Gym and created the formula for me. So now I can ask or put in any kind of input, whether it be a video, a picture, or a prompt. And if I have it run through the LoRa loader and me is loaded, it's going to come out with elements of me. How many elements of me or how close it's going to be to the pictures it was trained on, that's what this is, the strength of the model. Now, in the beginning, I was over at Civitai, and I told you I wanted that model that makes things real, real pretty and bright. That's Fluxmania. That's also a LoRa, and that's here too. So now I have 2 LoRas in the formula that I'm going to mix with my prompt, and I don't have any photos. It's quite a boil, toil, and trouble, which is brew here. All right. Additionally, this particular workflow has a series of pre-built LoRas in the workflow. And the one I like to use is drawing in colored pencil. If you've looked at a couple of covers with the Marcus on it, you will see it comes out really, really beautiful. And if you have an extra prompt, then here I want to trigger. Oh, that's what there's wrong here. Okay. Marcus, I'm using me. Okay. When you make a LoRa, and I'll talk about this later, you have to give it a trigger word. And the trigger word for this one is Keith, because it's me. So you want to put Keith in the prompt, and you also want to trigger the word here. So it knows it's going to, when it goes through here, it knows it's going to be looking for my formula. And over here, it double checks, hey, put in, Keith formula is important. And I've got it a strength of 1, so it's balanced. So what we're going to have is super reality balanced with formula of me with a little bit of whatever this LoRa is thrown in. All right. I want to go TikTok size. So I'm going to go 1280. No, that's right. Wrong. Sorry. 1080 by 1920. No, I forget that. You have to always double check before you hit run in Comfy, because not everything's, you forget sometimes. You can't just hit enter. You got to hit okay. 1080 by 1920, which is TikTokable size. Batch size, I always have it run 4. I'm not worried about credits because I'm at home. So I have it run 4. And what I have found, particularly with Flex Dev, is that if I'm running with four, 1 to 2 of them is going to be really good. The other two, and then usually one ball. I don't get a lot of fake arms and stuff like that with this particular model. So I don't usually use negative prompts. I do when I batch though. All right, so we are going to go down here steps. Now, steps is how fantastically beautiful. It's like good quality all the way up to stellar quality. If I was rocking 48 VRAM, I might try some things, but it gets to a point where you have diminishing returns, meaning it becomes so hyper AI that it starts to look fake and it starts to warp and look like, Earth 16 or something, nerd joke. All right. So I usually, when I'm using Flux, I usually keep my, I'll go 26. That's where I'll put my steps. Now, the reason I'm going that high, when I'm just normally using Flux and Flux Dev, I will go 22, 23, and that's about right. But because I'm using Flux Mania, and this is a tip, whenever you use a LoRa from Civitai, also take a screenshot of the page because it has a sample of the LoRa. So later on, you'll go back and you'll know what it is. And secondly, it'll tell you what the settings are. And it said on the front page of the Flux Mania LoRa that you need to be using anywhere between 26 or between 25 and 30 steps. So let's take that at 27 to get right mid-range. All right, denoise, I usually don't mess with that. All of this stuff, I don't mess with that. If you're going to have a problem, most of the time the problem is going to be here in the K sampler, and we'll talk about that later. K sampler. This is where you'll see, and everything's turning green. You'll see everything's going great, and then you will hit the K sampler, and you'll be like, and you'll see the temperature of the GPU go, woo, the GPU is being fully used, and that's where it hangs out in heat at the K sampler. That's where all the cookings, what we call that, the oven. All right. Okay, everything checks out. No make sure that's clean. And all right, let's run it and see what we got. So we're using me, and we're saying I'm reading a comic book, a simple Agentics comic book. The other thing, when you're prompting, and I would do this whether you were using Claude or you were using ComfyUI, what I've discovered is do not put numbers and writing in your prompt. If you get a prompt from ChatGPT or some other whatever, take the numbering and set it aside on Notepad, or tell it to give it to you numbers or phrases or words or letters or any of that stuff below. Have it print the general picture, and then in Canva after the fact, apply the writing. You're less likely to get artifacting and all that kind of stuff. For even with the improvements that they've done across all of the different models and LoRa's, it's still very, very lucky if you get a well-structured text with a really well-constructed picture. So I just do mine separately for now. All right. As a matter, let me hit run. Okay. As you can see across the top, it is running. When you see green here, everything's progressing. It's going box by box. Each of these little things does part of the formula, there you go. So it just created the prompt. So I'll show you what that looks like. You come in here. I just put in the prompt, Keith reading a simple Agentics comic book. It came back with a black and white photograph, features the famous author Keith Haring. That's weird. Sitting in an urban setting while engrossed in a copy of his comic book, Simple Agents. See what I mean? This is what I mean when AI hallucinates. So you just got to roll with it. Most of the time, it gives you something you can work with. And here's another reason why I really prefer to use, simple or to use ComfyUI, because I can take messed up photos and re-author them, or take bits and pieces and wipe out the background and really create unique stuff, collages, and create my own unique art style. It works really well. So which camera am I looking at here? Hold on a second. Technical difficulties. Right. I'm supposed to be on the video. I'm on the Osmo. Okay, we're good. We're good. I'm on the Osmo. Let's see. Is this moving with me? If it's moving with me, yeah, I'm on the Osmo hit. Okay. All right. Drink of water. As you can see, GPU's up to 80, 82, 83. It gets as high as 85. I got it capped right about there. When I first saw this, it freaked me out. It still freaks me out. But I looked it up and I asked around. I went on chat and all the other LLMs, and it says as long as it's under 95, you got no problems. You can do 95 all day. So I keep it at 85. But it still freaks me out because that seems like really hot. I guess it isn't. But I got the cover off, and we'll talk about that, what I had to do to set up to run this later. Okay, it's going to be running for a couple of minutes. So while it's doing that, I want to go over and show you Mimic. And the deal with Mimic is it allows you to do all of the ComfyUI stuff you can do from home, but you can do it with their GPUs. And a lot of the stuff they have here, you just click on it and it will set up Comfy for you and you're ready to go. Well, in theory, okay. So if you want to try it out, it's really cheap. You can take like $30 and that'll last you for a good long time to play with it and learn Comfy. If you're not rocking anything bigger than a 16 gigabyte, you should be over here. And as you are learning, do not sign up for an expensive video card or excuse me, do not sign up for the big package. If you are, do not sign up for $1 an hour video card if you're just learning, right? In fact, when I test out one of these, I will start off with the lowest price video card and run it once just to make sure everything runs. And chances are something's going to stick. So one of the things that you're going to see on the simple Agentics plan, let me explain something. One of my friends asked me, he said, I'm not sure what you're doing as far as, are you teaching AI or are you helping people get their emotional health? And I said, you need both. The patience necessary to trial and error through AI is going to require you to be able to calm down and count to 10 so many times. You are going to have to be so focused and you are going to have to be so incredibly self-motivated and self-motivating to be able to do this because it is frustrating. And you will hear me complain a lot. And I am complaining and I appreciate you letting me vent, but I'm also letting you know what really goes into creating even the simplest of Agentics, the simplest of channels, particularly if it's something that you want to keep doing. And I look at this as not just something I can make money. It's also something that is reskilling, and more important than both of those things, I want to help you guys learn how to sell your wisdom, because I know what it's like to spend decades doing something and then be replaced because you got too expensive or there was budget cuts or politically you're just not in. I hated that. I hate bosses. I've had horrible, horrible bosses. I hate meetings. Any meeting longer than 15 minutes and it's not a meeting. It's a circle of people doing something questionable. But it really bothered me to the point where I had to get out of all that. And then I tried to jump into businesses. And my headspace was so filled with emotional trauma and pain, it made it impossible to focus on something as technical as AI. And they keep telling you, oh, it's getting easier. It's going, don't you believe it? Business is business is business. And just because you have a fancy calculator doesn't mean you know accounting. So understand that getting into this, if you really want to make money or you really want to use it to sell your wisdom, which is what we teach at Simple Agentics, Yeah, you got to get your head straight first. Then you got to come in here and get some reskilling done because it takes the patience of a saint. All right, where are we? Let's go back over to Comfy. Are we done running? Is that me? Or is that an energy? No, that's it earlier. No, we're at 47%. Okay. It is, oh no, we're not. We're done. Okay, let's see what we got. Black and white photograph features. Okay. Come over here. Interesting. You know, I here's what I'm talking about when I talk about a LoRa. The LoRa obviously took because there's my face. Okay. The other reason the LoRa took is because many of the photographs I used to train the LoRa were done in pants like this and a plain shirt. Don't know where these shoes are coming from. The other thing is there's the simple Agentics. So that's perfect. I'm going to use that. I have hair. That's coming in from the reality. That's where you see all this stuff. That's coming in from the Flux Mania. So you can see this is definitely a mix of the different formulas or LoRa's. So that's one. Let's go to two. Why are they making me freaking homeless? Oh no, I'm not. I'm a graffiti artist. Yeah, okay, we're gonna put this one with rap music. Okay. Wow, that really looks like me. You can see here we've got some artifacting right here. The legs aren't pointed here. So what I would do is I would probably put the simple agentic sticker right over that or something here. But I like this. And what I can do is I can go in Canva and take out this cleave herring. Um, and I can actually, yeah, I can do a lot with this. Cut it up and make a collage type thumbnail. And the last one, oh, I like that. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Again, if you look really close, we've got some leg issues going. Where's my foot? I mean, this disappears in here. That could be fake. Nobody looks crazy. This ain't gonna work for me because typically I'm from a different part of LA, so I'm more of a cuz. So what is he like? No. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I will be able to use that. And pro tip, get a NAS. Don't try to do it with hard drives. Don't try to stack up a bunch of M.2s. Get a NAS because it's going to fill up quick. The models themselves, like this model that I used, the LoRa Fluxmania, that right there was like, I think it's 16 to 18 gigabytes. And this counts whether or not you're doing it in the cloud or if you're doing it at home. You still have to store those models and they're huge. You still have to store those LoRa's and they're huge. So either way, you're going to end up paying for hard drive space. So know that. And if you're not into NASs, and I'm not just talking about people that are into AI, you got to get a NAS. I'll talk about that later. This is my NAS over here, my baby. You got to get a NAS. And you can get one for like $500. And it's like the brain. Got to have it. It's where it's your memory, literally. Okay. So that's how I will get a photo, a unique photo, because nobody's going to have a photo with my face on it, hopefully. Wanted posters. Okay. So the other thing that you need to know about this is you always want to generate at least one forward-looking shot because you want to get a headshot because you'll use that later in Lemon Slice to show yourself talking. So you'll be able to go from a still picture like you see here, and then through Lemon Slice, the still picture will suddenly wake up, give whatever speech you give it in whatever voice, and then go back. It's a really cool effect. I'm going to start doing that this week with my own stuff. Okay, let's go back to Flux Gym. Now you see I use ComfyUI to generate an image. I then will go over, actually, no, there's one more thing we need to do. Then I will take this image or a good headshot image that I have found or any image I want to use. I will take out the background. So I would have run this as a headshot if I was really trying to make LoRa photos. Then I would take the headshot and I would bring it over here to Character. I like to use from, once again, ComfyUI Studios. This guy's a godsend, man. He has no idea. Okay. I go to character creator, and what I'll do is I will put in a photo like you see here, a headshot. What this does is it will take each of these photos you put up here, and it will give you 15 different poses. Here's why I put a pose. Like the one I like to use is this one. So you're going to see later. This is again made with the Marcus LoRa. So I've got him in different poses, or it can be anybody in different poses. This is what I think is really cool. You'll see when I train this model. I took this. Where is it? My poses. I'll show you this another day, but like if I take her, you'll have a picture of her looking like that, a picture of her looking like that, a picture of her looking like that, and that pose, and this pose, and this pose. So it's not really taking the picture traits from here. It's just taking the poses or the facial expressions and adding it to whatever photo you're putting here, and then giving you 15 different versions of that, allowing you half of the photos needed to put into Flux Gym to create a LoRa. Because remember, you need 20 to 30 pictures to put into Flux Gym to make a decent LoRa. So what I did is the heroine in my comic book is a Asian American female. So I had it create one, and then I put one in here, and then I ran it through a whole bunch of different poses. I picked the best 30 photos, and that's where we are now here in Flux Gym. All 30 of these photos were created in the character creator after I took some photos in and made them in Flux development. So I picked the best that I thought were 30, not necessarily because they're the clearest, but because they all show the same person and they're different facial and body movements. The more body movements and variety you have of body movements and facial expressions, particularly depending on if you're going to be doing action scenes, the better your LoRa formula will apply to the prompts and whatever other LoRas you're throwing in the mix. Okay, so Flux Gym, and we're coming up on the end because to run a LoRa with 25 pictures in using my RTX 3090 is going to take probably a good 3 to 4 hours. So I could do it faster on Mimic, of course, but I don't want to do that. I like to do my LoRas in-house where I can keep an eye on them. And later on, we'll get more specifically how to do this. So here I'm going to get my samples. My samples, I'm just going to drag all of these, and I'm going to put them in here. And there are 30. All right. What it's going to do is it's going to go in and, strangely enough, look at each photo and then give a prompt. It's going to backwards engineer a prompt for each of these photos. That's the first thing it's going to do. Then it's going to go through and it's going to use the prompt to run 10 to 20 different variations of each photo. That's why it takes so long. And then it will use all the prompts and all that data to create a formula that it can apply quickly and easily to any image, any video, anything you're doing, provided it has the ability to add a LoRa or multiple LoRas. Okay, what are we doing here? I think it's still adding files 2.9. Okay, it's running. As long as you see the F moving. Okay, I have Flux Gym running in a different program. It's not ComfyUI. I have Flux Gym running in a program that is called Pinocchio. And Pinocchio is just a different platform for running different AI things. Even image generation in Flux can be run on Pinocchio. And then you have another one that's called what is it? I can't think of the name. Stable diffusion. Stable diffusion is basically ComfyUI, whereas Windows would be to Linux, where ComfyUI is to Stable Diffusion. And boy, they're going to light me up on that. Oh my God, Stable Diffusion is so much easier to use than ComfyUI. I may have that backwards, depending on your opinion. Yeah, I'll probably have it backwards. Anyway, I'm going to sign off for now because it is 10:30 and Flux Gym is going to be doing its thing. If you want to see how this comes out, check in about a week. The first run of Simple Agentics, the comic book, will be coming out. I have just today opened my school community. So Simple Agentics is now a school community. I will be posting the link in the next 24 hours. Please come in and join while it is free. I am only at 12 subscribers. What I will tell you this, the first 100 people that subscribe to my channel, this is my promise. The first 100 people that support this channel by either buying me a cup of coffee or simply subscribing, you will be grandfathered in as the founding 100. And no matter what membership fees I will charge in the future, the founding 100 will always be free. I need 100 followers. Help me keep the faith. Join Simple Agentics. Good morning, good night. Have a wonderful day.